Hello, I'm Deborah Weston, and by the end of this time, you will have, I hope, more clearly understood the way I use the rubric for my CTZN 110 class. The section I teach is World Vision, and the focus is on both global citizenship, human rights, and intercultural sensitivity. So let's begin. As you can see, this is current, this is fall 2022, what I plan to assign, and the due date is to be announced because what I do is I bring in an outside speaker from a restaurant and a local restaurant to share about their experience. And one of the things that students are evaluated on, and you'll see this in the rubric, is the context. And in my class toward the end of the semester, which this is given in the early middle of the semester, I'm asking students to wear business attire in their presentation and also treat their classmates as business partners because they're asking for funding for this sustainable restaurant. And the skills that they will learn is to create, invent, as you can see, judge, evaluate, synthesize, analyze, and specifically apply variables of the 4 clear ethics model. And they have to choose one part of citizen rights, common good, anything related to that. And we have the knowledge here and the task. And what their assignment is to create a video, a Panopto upload, and prior to this, I will offer them the opportunity of completing an outline in class that I will review. In this video, they have to define the mission, vision, and values of their restaurant. How will they obtain the items they're going to serve? Will they support other small businesses? Why or why not? How will their restaurant align with citizen rights? For example, one presentation I received a few semesters ago, the focus of the restaurant was to serve a lot of veterans and was veteran run and veteran owned. Will they include cross-cultural food? Because this is a course in global citizenship. How will they determine prices? One student was able to determine her pricing right down to the penny. It was amazing. And then they have to make one connection, only one, to the 4 clear model. For example, what are their outcomes of this restaurant? Why are they doing this in terms of ethical reasoning? And finally, they have to talk about whom they will hire and why they'll hire that person. And before we even submit the assignment, we even talk about behavioral interview questions. And as you can see, I bring an owner of a local restaurant and they critique a successful example from a student in a previous class. So they have the opportunity to see what's been done before. And now we'll talk about the rubric. What I did was revised the CTZN 110 rubric to meet the criteria for this sustainable restaurant. So we are looking at the relation of how they answer the questions. How much detail did they go into? How did they demonstrate critical thinking? How did they explain their rationale? And how did they come to the conclusions they came to? How well could they describe this restaurant in terms of citizen rights? I've had several students talk about LGBTQ rights and how their restaurant will honor diversity, not only diversity, but inclusion. And they also use a lot of photographs in their presentation demonstrating this. And then we talk about ethical reasoning. And how does our ethical reasoning model apply? So for example, the character. What character are they choosing to identify? How will this build their character as a person who owns and operates a sustainable restaurant? What outcomes do they hope to achieve as it relates to the common good, to citizen rights? What's fair about their restaurant? And so if they choose that variable, they'll have to talk about their hiring practices, their choosing of how they will purchase food. And then they can talk about rights, and they could talk about liberties. How does this create freedom? And I've had several creative restaurants in the past. They even talk about why did they choose the location. For example, one student chose her location in the middle of the Charlottesville Mall, and she created a strong rationale as to why and how she came to that conclusion to have her business in Charlottesville. Other students have had their businesses in Farmville. One international student talked about creating a Chinese hot pot restaurant in Farmville because there's nothing like that here. And so they have an opportunity to identify with many of the variables of the ethical reasoning model. And finally, we have two more parts of the rubric here: create and deliver, the content. And so the content, it's really important that number one, they dress up, and number two, that they talk as if they are speaking to a group of people who will potentially fund their restaurant. And I explained to them that they have to make a plea at the end of the presentation and what differentiates this restaurant from any other restaurant in their vicinity. And again, how will it connect to human rights? And their delivery is very important. At this point in the semester, we will have spoken about filler words. We will have talked about vocal variety. We will talk about tone. And we will talk about practicing their presentations before they upload the video. And this is for a total of 100 points. It's in the module Global Citizenship and Social Responsibility. So the gist of this module is to learn all about social responsibility. And you can see I have the task here as well as how to upload their videos in Panopto. And at the beginning of the course, we practice uploading videos so they have a chance to learn how their video is submitted properly. And that concludes the assignment and how I've used the rubric for Citizen 110. Thank you very much.